It was supposed to be a simple dinner, a casual evening with her family, a chance for me to finally leave a good impression. Lily and I had been together for over a year, navigating our fair share of ups and downs. Despite it all, I was hopeful that tonight would strengthen our relationship. Her parents were wonderful people, warm, welcoming, and easy to be around. I had always felt at ease with them. I had no idea that tonight would change everything. The moment I arrived at the restaurant, I sensed something was wrong. Lily wasn't her usual self. She lacked her typical enthusiasm, the spark she always had when we were about to meet her parents. Instead, she greeted me with a forced smile, but I could see the frustration lurking in her eyes. Her parents, as always, were kind and gracious, but there was an undeniable tension in the air. At first, I dismissed it. It had been a long week for both of us. Maybe she was just tired, but as the evening progressed, things slowly began to unravel. We sat at a small, round table, the kind designed to create a cozy, intimate setting. Yet tonight, I felt anything but comfortable. Her father talked about his recent trip to the mountains, while her mother asked about my work. On the surface, everything seemed normal, but underneath, I could feel something shifting. Every time I glanced at Lily, she seemed distant, her gaze flitting between me and her parents as if she were bracing herself for something. Then, without warning, it happened. The conversation turned to our future, our plans, what we envisioned for ourselves. Lily's mother smiled at me and casually asked how things were going with the apartment we had been considering moving into together. I hesitated. Things had been strange between Lily and me lately. She had been avoiding any serious conversations about our future. Before I could respond, she spoke first. "I think we should stop pretending." Her voice was calm, too calm. My heart skipped a beat. Her parents turned to her, their expressions shifting from curiosity to concern. She didn't seem to notice. Instead, she turned to me, her eyes no longer soft and affectionate, but cold and firm. "I'm better off without you," she said, loud enough for the entire table to hear. "I've been thinking about this for a while, and I just don't think we're right for each other anymore." Her words hit me like a physical blow. I felt the color drain from my face. I looked around, as if searching for an escape, but all I found were her parents staring at me, caught in the middle of a moment they clearly hadn't expected. Her father cleared his throat awkwardly. Her mother lowered her gaze to her hands, clearly unsure of what to say. But Lily? She remained unwavering, her expression a mixture of anger and finality. I wanted to speak, to say anything that might change her mind. I wanted to tell her how much I loved her, remind her of everything we had been through. But the words wouldn't come, because this wasn't a conversation. It wasn't an argument. It was a decision, and she had already made it. For a fleeting moment, I thought about staying, about trying to salvage whatever was left. But then, it hit me. I deserved better than this. I deserved someone who would fight for me, not someone who would tear me down in front of their parents like I was nothing more than an inconvenience. I glanced at her parents again. They looked uncomfortable, their eyes darting between us, unsure of what to do. But this wasn't their fight. This was mine. I stood up, the legs of my chair scraping against the floor. The harsh sound cut through the air, momentarily silencing everything. Lily watched me, waiting for me to say something. I didn't need to. "I think this is where I leave," I said, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. I turned to her parents one last time, offering a polite but hollow smile. "It was nice meeting you both." Then, without another word, I walked away. The moment I stepped outside, the cool night air hit me like a wake-up call. Strangely, relief washed over me. It was over. No more pretending. No more uncertainty. It hurt, but I knew it was the right decision. I had spent so much time trying to make things work, trying to make her happy, but in the end, I was just another part of her life she was ready to erase. I didn't look back as I made my way to my car. There was nothing left to look back at. No apology, no explanation, just the echo of her words ringing in my ears. I'm better off without you. For the first time in a long while, I believed her. I got into my car and started the engine. The city lights blurred past me as I drove away, leaving behind a chapter of my life I never thought I would have to close. The faint hum of the engine was the only sound in the otherwise silent world around me. My hands tightened around the steering wheel, not out of anger, but out of a desperate need to hold onto something solid. The soft glow of the streetlights flickered as I passed, their steady rhythm like the heartbeat of the city. But even they couldn't quiet the storm inside me. I felt weightless, as if I were floating, detached from everything that had just unfolded. Lily's words echoed in my mind, haunting me, each syllable cutting through me like a blade. I'm better off without you. They weren't just words. They were final, absolute. It was as though she had already moved on and expected me to do the same. I hadn't even been given a chance to explain myself, to fight for us, to salvage what little remained. And yet, as much as it hurt, a part of me understood. Deep down, I had known for a long time that something wasn't right. I had been trying to hold on, trying to fix something that had already begun to unravel long before tonight. Outside my window, the city blurred past in streaks of light and shadow, a reflection of the chaos inside my mind. I drove without purpose, not caring where I was headed. The familiar streets of my neighborhood, the places we had once walked together, now felt foreign, almost unrecognizable. Everywhere I looked, memories surfaced. Every corner, every turn, brought back moments I had once cherished, her laughter, her smile, the quiet nights spent watching movies. Those small, seemingly insignificant things had once meant everything. Now, they felt like ghosts, fading just as quickly as the headlights that passed me by. But in that painful silence, something else began to emerge, a realization, one I had ignored for too long. I didn't have to be in this pain. I didn't have to keep chasing after someone who had already made their choice, a choice that no longer included me. I had given so much of myself trying to make things work, trying to make her happy, to make us fit into something that was never meant to be. And in doing so, I had lost myself. As I left the city behind, the bright lights grew scarce, the streets quieter. With each passing mile, the tightness in my chest started to ease. I wasn't sure where I was going, but the farther I drove, the lighter I felt. Maybe it was a physical distance, or maybe it was the emotional space I was beginning to create. I glanced in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see Lily's face staring back at me, her disappointment, her anger, her coldness. But all I saw was the empty road behind me. I pulled off at a small overlook, a spot I used to visit when I needed to think. The sky stretched endlessly above, a deep, dark blue speckled with stars that seemed impossibly distant. I parked the car, turned off the engine, and sat in the stillness for a long moment. The cool night air drifted in through the open window, and for the first time in a long while, the weight of my thoughts began to settle. This was it. This was clarity. It hurt, more than I could have anticipated, but in that pain, there was also freedom. The kind of freedom that comes from releasing something that no longer serves you, that no longer helps you grow. The kind that makes space for something new. I had spent so long convincing myself that I had to make it work, that I had to hold on to a version of the future that no longer existed. But in the quiet of the night, I finally understood letting go was the only way forward. For the first time in months, I could breathe without the weight of someone else's expectations pressing down on me. I wasn't defined by this relationship, not by Lily, not by the past. I was defined by the choices I made now, by the life I would build for myself. The road ahead wasn't clear, but for the first time, that didn't scare me. I didn't need to know every step. I just needed to trust that something better was waiting for me beyond this pain, that, in time, the hurt would fade, and the peace I had been searching for would finally find its way back to me. I sat there a little longer, letting the weight on my chest continue to lift, replaced by something new, a quiet determination. Tomorrow was a new day, and I was ready to start again.